Dum 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 dun 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 bam ba da ba na ba na do do do.
That's my attempt of the t-shirt scene.
Sorry, that thing popped up again where they're like, "Hey, are you playing professional music?" No, Zoom. I don't think me butchering the Dexter theme song is considered professional music. Oh, Zoom.
I mean, take
You
the
are
compliment.
silly. Sorry, you're right. Thank you, Zoom.
That was the best. Oh my god.
Anyways, hello, Cinema Peeps.
Hey, Cinema Peeps.
Whew. The day has finally come.
Tonight's the night.
Ooh.
Been waiting a while to say that.
I bet. We are now finally gonna cover Dexter Original Sin. So yeah, as of recording, there's been 6 episodes up, so
7.
7. Did I miss one? Wow, correct.
Did you watch the? Yeah, you watched the most recent one.
Oh, that was 7. My
that
bad.
Was 7,
I thought it was 6. Okay. I mean, we intended to do a review about halfway, but unfortunately, we wanted to get the Oscars out right away,
yes.
So that was more important. But I think, yeah, we'll discuss probably the first 7 episodes, and then we might do a conclusion, maybe when the finale comes.
Again, supposedly the finale of this series, or of season 1, if it stays in season 1, supposedly the finale is Valentine's Day, so maybe we could do a special Dexter Valentine's Day episode.
I like that. But yeah, I think we'll also touch on resurgence maybe as well, resurgent news, so
yes.
Maybe a little bit of everything, I guess, today. So.
A little bit of Dexter everything. You know, we've been Dexter deprived for a while. It's been a couple seasons since we've talked about Dexter, I feel like, too. So for the podcast at least. So it's a long time coming. I'm ready. Let's dive into it.
But yeah, I think it's very hard for me and Kendra to kind of hide how we feel about Original Sin. I know when it was announced, like I wasn't pumped. I was just kind of like, this feels weird.
Well, you and I have been like, we've talked about it on the podcast before too. You and I have been in like this fatigue, like movie fatigue or like reboot fatigue lately, where I'm sure a lot of people are, where it's just like you see a new trailer and it's for like a remake or a reboot of like a beloved show or a beloved movie, and it's like, come on guys, like really? Do we really need to be like redoing, like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? And so yeah, when the announcement came that Dexter Original Sin was a thing, we were kind of like skeptical, being like, what is this and why?
Yeah, I think the big one was why. Because yeah, Kendra actually started rewatching OG Dexter alongside.
Yes.
I think was very smart. And even with what I recall, it's like, yeah, they already kind of touched upon like a little bit of his origin already. Like, you obviously see bits and pieces in season 1, because again, season 1 is all about him like confronting and meeting Brian and realizing like, oh, this was my origin story.
Yeah.
You know, this is why, you know, I have a weird thing about blood and like like when people hurt children, like this is where it all stems from. And then even in season 2, they sprinkle in a little more, but it's more about Harry and his relationship with his mom.
Yeah.
And I feel after that, they didn't really, like, after that, I feel like there might have been, but I feel like after that, there wasn't a lot more.
Yeah. I always felt that they did a really good job of balancing the past and present in original, like in the original Dexter series, because yeah, it gave you enough to kind of have a baseline, like you said, of like his motives for doing what he does, where that came from, where that stemmed from, and you still get to see like in his present how that kind of like either hinders him or benefits him, and a lot of the time he's like kind of like teetering on the edge of, am I human, am I not human, how can I be normal, I don't want to be normal. And then, yeah, season 3, which is what I've just started now, is kind of
Mhm.
more where he starts to embrace being normal and feeling normal and wanting to, like, do the things that, like, regular people would want to do, like start a family and get married and all that kind of stuff. And he's
Mhm.
starting to kind of like, loosen the reins kind of a little bit on that, dark passenger, as he refers to him as.
Yeah, so when they were really pitching, they were like, "This is his origin, you learn, like, like, where he comes from." Or to be fair, I think they were more trying to play it as, like, you see him grow into the more sophisticated killer that he is currently,
Yeah,
is what
that's
they're really pushing. Because really, if they said this is his origin, I think that'd be a harder sell. Because it's like, well, we already kind of know. We saw
right.
the flashbacks, we saw the terrible wigs, like, we know. We
Yeah.
know.
Yes.
So, yeah, there as, like, the season, was getting closer, that was a lot, at least a lot of the promos I was seeing
Yeah.
was that kind of vibe, and
And the thing that really, really, like, for me was just kind of like, no, I don't think I can watch this. I don't know if I can stomach this. Was that one trailer where it was like the push me and I
oh,
can
that
push
was
me
so
till I
funny.
can get my satisfaction. I was
Again, they're
like,
trying
what
to
is this?
emphasize, like, the 90s because I think it's supposed to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
91,
yeah.
but, yeah, I was like, "This is a lot of odd choices." I
It was very cringy, very cringy.
and, yeah, so there's a lot of that. And then what really upset me was, like, kinda closer to it, they then were releasing, like, they were obviously doing a lot of promos with, like, the actors and actresses, and they were talking about their characters. And one of the guys specifically who plays Angel, Batista,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I do not remember your name. He was talking about how he actually knows the actor
Yes.
and, like, they went to school together, so when he got casted, he's like, "I told my friend," and he felt, it was like this special bonding thing, and I was just like, "For fuck's sakes!" Like, it gave me hope, and it was very annoying, so I was like,
Yeah.
"Ah." Like, I see how passionate these actors are for this project, but I as we kinda struggle with, we don't see a point to this, but
Yes.
I guess we should just start with episode 1.
Well, yeah. I'll say that, yeah, like everything you said, agreed times 10 for sure. Um, I think that is definitely the thing that we need to, or the reason that we are watching it now. Like, you and I think at first we were both kind of like, no, I don't think we're gonna do it. And then Zena kind of like convinced us to watch it because she was really enjoying it. And
Mhm.
now it piqued our curiosity a little bit. And now at this point, it's just kind of like we want to know why. And
Yeah.
I have said it before when I first started watching the series, and I still agree that to me it feels like a high school production of Dexter. Because yeah, like you said, you can really see the passion that everybody's putting into, like, you know,
Mhm.
retelling this world and like bringing it back and stuff like that. But it's like there's just a slight difference that's just kind of like, ugh. And yeah, I think watching original Dexter helps me hate it less, I think. So,
Bam.
yeah.
It's like you have to eat something sweet before you take your medicine.
Right? Yeah, it's a nice palate cleanse.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I will say the first 10 minutes of Original Sin deeply upset me.
Yes.
Um so sorry, off the top, as we just said, we're discussing the first 7 episodes, so if you haven't watched, really sorry, but a lot of our critiques will be spoilers for the
Spoiler ridden,
show.
yes.
So, again, very sorry. So if you
But
haven't,
buckle up.
if you like, don't watch or zoom to the very end or something so we get that watch time, baby. um, but yeah, so the first 10 minutes opens up. We pick up right where New Blood leaves off with Dexter dying in the snow.
Which was an interesting choice.
Yes, and then he's in the police car and he's talking about how he's basically on death's door.
Mhm.
But then it seems like he's been revived.
Yeah, they take the paddles to him and they get a heartbeat back, and that's when all of a sudden we get tossed into this life flashing before my eyes start to Original Sin.
Yeah. With a weird, zoom square thing that I deeply hated. I was like, I never want to see that again.
It was like this weird, like, don't go to the light, kind of like,
yeah.
oh, yeah,
But I think
vision.
It still shows up twice. It's just very upsetting.
Yeah. I'm glad it doesn't happen. I thought that was going to happen at the end of the beginning and ending of every episode. So I'm glad
I guess
I
should be, I guess I should be grateful for that, I guess, but I just, I know it doesn't seem like it, but I really do like Dexter. I thought the ending of New Blood was great. I know apparently we might be in our own camp on this one, but like having his son kill him, we're ending Dexter's cycle, and now Harrison kind of has to go on his own and kind of figure his shit out.
It's repeating, but passing the torch in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. And but instead, they're like, let's just bring him back. And I'm like,
yeah.
Again, I love Michael C. Hall. I love that man's voice. I would fuck that man's voice. But like, it's upsetty spaghetti, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna lie. The first 10 minutes, I was like, no.
Yeah.
Also, he got shot in the chest with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Like again,
a rifle.
I want to praise, like, amazing doctors, but also, like, bring Mythbusters on there. There's no fucking actual way. Shot in the chest?
Unless Michael Myers. Like, maybe he's Michael Myers. I don't know. Who knows? Like,
that's what we find out. But yeah, we start off with those 10 awful minutes, and then we get into the show.
Yeah.
Which, basically, the entire rest of episode 1 kind of revolves around his first kill with the nurse.
Yeah. So it's a lot of repeats from things you've seen in the original series.
With like a little bit more to it, but at the end of the day, it's like, what the fuck is the point? Like,
right? Not enough to be like, oh, okay, this I understand this more deeply now.
Like wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not gonna lie, maybe not the strongest start to the episode. The music again, also just, we get it. It's the 90s. Let's pump the brakes a little bit, okay?
Right? The whole point of, like, or at least part of the thing that everybody liked, I think, I would argue about Original Dexter was that there wasn't a lot, if any, like, popular music. It was all, like, the Latino Cuban, music, and that really, like, I don't know, it was kind of like a good ambience for the world of Dexter.
Yeah, it was more just for the atmosphere.
The atmosphere. Yeah. That's
like you said. Like the Cuban, the Latin, when they're on the streets, on the hot days, And
just kind of added to, like, the vibe with, like, the transition between shots or scenes and just, like, the mood that was happening at the time. And
and then there's, like, the switch to darkness where you have that beautiful little, like, I'm
solemn
assuming
piano.
It's a piano. Yeah. Of, like, the, do of, like, the dark passenger coming, and it's just
beautiful.
Chef's kiss.
Beautiful. Yep.
So to have all these weird pop songs, I'm just like,
it just didn't fit. So that was strike 2.
There was already lots.
Yeah.
Fuck. Now I'm gonna rattle around my brain.
Well, I think the next one we should talk about is Harry. Casting of Harry.
Yeah.
Let's just like honestly, I will give it to them. They nailed the casting for everybody.
Oh, like, yeah.
Everyone to a T does a very good job of embodying the characters from the original series. And it just feels like they either ran out of money or, like, just gave up. Or I don't know if what's his name? Hayden Christensen? No, what's his name?
Christian
Slater.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're right,
There's a Christian in there somewhere. Christian Slater really, really wanted to be Harry. I don't know. It just feels like they nailed the casting for everybody except Harry. And it's really hard to, like, be on board with it, I think.
I feel like I sent you a snap being like, maybe I'm just not a fan of his. Like, I don't know why, but I see him and I don't like him. Like, I don't know. I just I don't quite get what they were going. Like, maybe I do, but I don't like it. Maybe I'm wrong, but the vibe I'm trying to get, like, the way they're portraying him is that idea of, like, you always see like, obviously you always see your parents as, like, top tier, you
Mhm.
know? Like, they can do no wrong, they always know what they're doing, but obviously that's not always the case.
Mhm.
And I feel like we always see Harry as the, voice of reason,
Yep.
follow the code, as a very, sorry, I was gonna say a holy man. Not a holy man, but like an honest man to keep
Mhm.
Dexter on the quote unquote right path.
Right.
And in this one they're going for more of a broken Harry. Like they're like, look how bad he is. So again, I don't know if they're just trying to be like, yeah, we always think like Harry as this amazing guy, but in reality, but I feel like they went way too far the other
Yeah.
way and dipped the scale. Cause yeah, they start off, which immediately I was when Kendra told me, "Oh, I'm watching the original series." I called her and I was like, "Yo, so did Harry lose a son?" Because they open, I think that's in episode 2. You find out that he's drinking, watching the football game, and his son drowns in his pool.
Yeah.
And it's just it set a very weird vibe off the
Yeah.
get go. Because I was like, what is the purpose of that?
Mhm.
Because like we kind of know from OG Dexter is that he is, again, I think it was in season 2 that he got Dexter's mom to be an informant for him, and things may have blurred the lines between being an informant, and
Mhm.
not.
Mhm.
you know I think there was also one thing that was hinted that he might have been Dexter's real dad, which was a little wild, but I think that was like a blip in season 2. They were like, oh, maybe, and they're like, nah.
Yeah.
So yeah, to have this one where, you know, like I don't know if they're like trying to redeem Harry, but then of course not always to look bad that like, oh, he act like obviously it was an accident. Let his son dies on his watch, but now he's cheating on his wife. Like at this point, like every interaction he has with Doris, I'm like, how did they stay together at all? Like
Yeah.
maybe it was a good thing cancer got her. Because like I don't like anytime, and again, maybe Dexter's not a reliable narrator, but he always said like, hey, they were the best foster parents someone could ask for, you
Right. Yeah.
know? So
Yep.
at least to me that meant it was at least a good stable home.
Mhm.
But like not the audacity, but the tenacity, no, the hostility between these two characters for a while. I'm like,
Right.
and I mean, jumping ahead a little bit, we're definitely getting very close to Laura, Dexter's mom, being killed, pretty
Yeah.
sure. And at
Mhm.
that point, or at least the point as of right now, um, Doris has now given birth to Deborah, and she's like, "Hey, now that you're a father again, you have to dump that hoe. I know you've been cheating on me." And I'm just like, I, what is like?
Right.
I think you guys should
I
just
guess
break
in
up. Just break up. I don't know.
again, in some instances you could argue that this gives more depth to Harry's character and kind of like giving you the okay, so here's the here now I can understand why Harry chose to adopt Dexter maybe. I guess like seeing all that would kind of be like okay, so that makes sense. He lost a son, grieving, being
hmm
careless in whatever was going on with him at the time. So adopting Dexter makes him feel like he's redeemed himself for losing the son on his
hmm
watch, like you said. And then yeah, with the whole thing with his wife. And I'm assuming like I would think like because she wanted to try again to have a baby and they were trying and trying and trying and it wasn't happening.
Yeah,
And
but
then they had Deb, and it was like, is that the mom's way of like distracting herself then? Is like this is how we stay together is because of
yeah,
Deborah kind of thing?
but there's
But
also
again,
that
like
weird
all of
line.
these go ahead.
No, you go. You go. Go. Go.
I was just gonna say to wrap up, like all of those things, as much as yes, they did kind of add more depth to Harry's story. Again, I felt like it wasn't necessary. I personally could have filled in those blanks myself, having watched the original series. I didn't
hmm
need to know all those nitty gritty details to understand. Oh, this is why he
Yeah,
adopted Dexter.
but yeah, there was that weird line where like Doris surprises Harry, being like, "Wow, look, I'm pregnant." But then
Mm-hmm.
he kind of says, "But we haven't been trying." And I'm like again, maybe I was like reading too much into this. Like, I was like, is that supposed to imply that maybe Harry's not the father?
Oh.
And again, I don't think it was maybe meant to be anything more, but I was just like, this is such a weird. It was a weird way they said it, and I was just like, are you implying cheating? Like, Harry, you're the one cheating. Like, calm your tits,
Yeah.
calm your titties. Maybe that's why he knows. He's like, well, I'm having sex with you, so.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I agree. Because again, I think the impression I got from season 2, again, they show Harry picking him out of the blood, is that the guilt of putting his mom in that position and getting her murdered,
Mm-hmm.
that's why he adopted him.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need, the dying son as like another addition, I guess. You could
I guess,
even
yeah.
like write, that Doris and Harry were having troubles conceiving or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Mm-hmm.
they finally got Deb, but then again, he has this connection with Laura and with
Mm-hmm.
her kids clearly, and that when again he feels guilt that she, gets murdered on his watch, so he
Mm-hmm.
adopts Dexter because he's
Yeah.
the one he bond with because Brian's a creep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I just think there's just a bunch of unnecessary shit that I don't think help his character. That just makes it
Yeah.
weird.
Right.
Like again, and I'm very sorry, Kristen Slater. I don't mean to shit on you, but like well, it was a weird choice.
And that, I guess
Weird
that would
fucking
be,
choice.
again, we'll see if it, maybe it probably won't talk about it. I don't know, but like, now I guess would want to know at this point. It's like, why did Harry choose to adopt Dexter and not Brian at the same time? And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, he had obviously a closer bond with Dexter, which they obviously show that in
Yeah.
Original Sin. And I do remember in the original series there was a scene where they show Harry picking Dexter out of the blood, taking him away, and then you see Brian being like, "Dexter, don't leave me," blah blah blah. So it's like, so like, what happened to Brian at that point? Like, why didn't they stay,
Yeah.
like, have the boys stick together, kind of thing? So that'd be an interesting explanation to give, I guess.
We're not gonna get that one, Kendra. That's not gonna
Probably
win.
not.
Not gonna win. Not gonna win. Like there are parts of the show I do enjoy, like, and I feel it sucks because I feel like the things they want to emphasize on is the stuff I could give less than two shits.
Yeah, agreed.
There's like an entire sequence of Dexter learning that, like, because again, he's doing his first couple kills, and he's like, oh, although that one was very funny. This like old, um, not a spy, but like a hitman.
Mm-hmm.
He like Dexter tries to kill him, but he wakes up, escapes, runs naked in the street, and gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
Very funny. So then he learns, he's like, oh, I have to use something really strong to like knock them out. There's this whole sequence where he goes to like the horse track to get the horse tranquilizer shit, and then he gets stuck in the horse pen.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really give a shit like what
Right?
how he learned how to do that
it's
in particular. Like I don't really give a
right.
shit.
Like, it's comedic, but I don't know. For me, it just kind of like dilutes the mysteriousness of Dexter, of how we know him to be, again, like from how Michael C. Hall plays him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can understand that, yeah, at some point in his life he'd probably have some awkward moments trying to figure out like his whole code and his
Mm-hmm.
system and how he does things. But again, seeing it, I wasn't really necessary for me. It just kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know, just kind of diluted the illusion and like the mysteriousness of how he is the way he is, right?
Yeah. And again, I think I'm more interested in like the cases they're trying to solve at Miami Metro.
Yeah.
Like currently right now, with the help of LaGuardia, who kind of comes in, I think not till episode 3 or 4, right?
Yeah,
She
I think
comes
so,
in.
yeah. 3 or 4.
She comes in, and now her, Dexter, and Harry, because he gets demoted. Well, not really demoted. They're just like he gets put on a timeout a little bit. He fudged up a case. We'll put a little pin in that, and so he has to work with LaGuardia and now his son.
Mhm.
And then you see Dexter like slowly like looking at other killers and being like, oh, like I see these things. Like he's trying to figure out what he likes, and so LaGuardia, so I'm interested more in those cases. And then again, kind of the big overarching case this season is these abductions of these children,
Mhm.
which we got a big old bombshell, which Kendra called in the most recent episode. But it was so
Thank
good.
you.
So good. So, like, I enjoy that shit.
Yeah.
But I feel like it always gets put on a little bit back burner to these weird scenes of like, I'm gonna go get a horse tranquilizer. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't care.
Right?
Like, why can't that be a one-line dialogue of like, oh, maybe I need to try stronger drugs. Ooh, that sounds
Right?
like a good idea. Instead of doing this whole weird sequence thing. Like,
Well, there was always that
ugh.
thing that you learned in film school called, like, less is more and show don't tell kind of thing. So, part of me would argue that, like, maybe that could have yeah, like you said, the whole bit of him having to go get the horse tranquilizer and stuff like that could have just been done in maybe one shot of him, like you said, like, trying to figure out, "Okay, I need a better solution to knocking these people out," instead of putting them in a chokehold because that's obviously
Yeah.
not always effective. And then maybe like he like sees or talks to someone about the whole horse tranquilizer, and then you get that like shot of the look on his face of like realizing, oh, and then it's like, okay, now I get it. This is where he learns that the horse tranquilizer is a more effective thing, and he's gonna go get that.
Like they kind of do like an offliner with Michelle Gellar.
Yeah,
And that's like, yeah, that's all you needed to
that's all.
do.
Yeah, that's all you needed. We didn't need that whole scene of him going and getting it. But I think again that was to add to the whole like awkward comedic like let's watch him mess up and see what happens.
It's like, I don't give a shit about that. Like, yeah, I want to know more about the cases
Mhm.
or like even just the everyday stuff of Deb and Dexter. Like, I don't, like you
Right?
said, less is more. Like, I don't need to have everything explained to me. I don't need to be explained, oh, well, he did this first and then he now knows to do this and
Mhm.
that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't care. I
Right?
literally could care less.
Yeah. And to
Not
segue on
bothered.
that, speaking of Deb, um I think I will give props to the actress because I feel like yeah, like you were saying we
Hmm.
were talking not on the podcast we were talking about this, but you said she embodies the attitude of Deb really well,
Hmm.
but I feel like sometimes it's overdone. And I also wanna know at what point, like, because because in the original series, like, she obviously explains that the reason she became a cop is because she thought that was how her dad was gonna pay more attention to her because
Yeah.
all throughout her childhood, as you know, Harry and Dexter were kinda like, like this. They were like, he was always
Yeah.
focusing on Dexter, he never did anything with Deb, and
Mhm.
whenever Deb tried to insert herself into doing something with them, as they did show in the flashbacks in the original series, like, there's one where she wants to go hunting with them, but Harry won't let her.
Yeah.
So she grabs Harry's gun and tries to like practice shooting, and then Harry gets mad and like grabs the gun and storms off. And Dexter notices that like she's a really good shot, and so he like saves the can that she was shooting at and says, "You're a better shot than me anyway." I'm like, okay, so to me that shows like her motivation of wanting to fit in with the
Mhm.
gang and also wanting to become a cop. Whereas
Yeah.
right now, again, maybe it's too early to tell, but right now the character that is being portrayed in Original Sin, she seems like she has no interest in that. All she ever does is come in to a moment when Dexter and Harry are in the same room and just gets like really super like attitudey with them and is like, ugh, blah, blah. Like I don't see her ever trying to force herself into anything that they do. She's just always giving them
Yeah.
snark all the time, it seems like, right?
Classic Deb snark. Yeah, and I mean, on one hand, she's also like in high school, so
Yeah.
like I can kind of forgive it because obviously her life is her friends, volleyball, and her
Yeah.
new boyfriend, who he could be a serial killer for all I
Right?
know. You know, I think this is something we discussed before too. I think it's just more of the fact that we're like, how does she? I guess kind of what you were just saying. Like, I just don't get the transition between like original Sin Deb and now Dexter, like OG Dexter, because a big thing, and I think it's even start of season one, that she's a little awkward in a
Yeah.
way. She, like she's got that attitude, she's got the go getter attitude, but as Dexter kind of keeps reminding her, like, hey, you kind of have to like kiss up if you want to move up and do all these things, and she's like, I don't want to do none of that. She
Hmm.
hates, I don't know if it's implied, but I think she doesn't like wearing super traditional feminine clothing. She
She's a
likes
little more
wearing her
tomboy.
yeah, she likes wearing her, her suit jackets, like, she's fine with it, but anything that's a little more, again, on the spectrum of femininity, she's kinda like, "Ah, no
Mhm.
thank you," kinda thing. So, again, this is no, shit against the actress. I think it's just more of the writers, because to me, this Deb has so much, like, confidence, like, she's on her volleyball team, which is fine because I could see Deb playing sports, but
Mhm.
there's this whole thing where, well, this kind of, like, very mini side story of her being, like, wanting to be the head captain?
The captain, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, she's, like, having the girls over, they're having pot brownies, they're sniffing fake Coke. So, like, it seems like she already, not that she already knows how to play the game, but, like, that to me is someone who's, yeah, knows how to kinda, like, already, be chummy
Right?
with
Right?
people.
The
So
the
it's just,
confidence that she has as a young teenager doesn't match the confidence she eventually grows into as adult Deb, because yeah, like you said, in
yeah.
season 1, she has the attitude, but she's still very uncomfortable in her own skin. She's still very
Mhm.
awkward. Like she's nervous, right? She's constantly leaning on Dexter to be the voice of reason of what she should do, and like gets his
Yeah.
opinion, and she doesn't really like have her own voice and stand up for herself, right? So
Mhm.
to match that with the attitude that she has as a teenager just doesn't, it's not cohesive. And yeah, you could argue that, oh well, everyone's got that kind of confidence as a teenager. And it's like, I guess maybe some, but like I don't know, this kind of
Hell
story arc
no.
just doesn't flow properly with that.
Hell no. I know you said this earlier. You're like, hopefully only one season, but, like, if they were to do a season 2, maybe they show something, but again, like, I there's a missing link, and I don't know what it is.
Mhm, mhm.
So, again, I think the actress does a phenomenal job, but it's just, yeah, like, what the writers have chosen to do, writers slash producers of the show, the creative heads of the show. Let's go with even
Mhm.
as far as that. Like, I don't know why they chose that path for Deb in this
Yeah, it
series.
it seems like they chose to embody, because again, like you said, it's trying to like I noticed the whole show in itself has like a very like they're intentionally trying to make it very 90s in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like I noticed the lighting too in some aspects seems like super intense and like
Mhm.
kind of neon 90s nightclub kind of
Oh, yeah.
feel. So I would say that they pushed a little too hard to make Deb look like a 90s girl and
Maybe.
didn't focus enough on just, you know, telling Deb's story how it fits for Deb, right?
Yeah. And I mean, as of right now, she's currently fighting with her only friends, so maybe we'll start maybe seeing more of that Deb, but I don't know. I don't know.
We're already more than halfway through the series, or
I
yeah, the
know.
series at this point, so we'll see.
Seems like a little late. I will say though, I do really enjoy the addition of Patrick Dempsey's character and Michelle Gellar.
Mhm.
I know Michelle Gellar is more of, like, kind of in the background, but I enjoy her and Patrick Dempsey's characters a
Mhm.
lot,
Mhm.
and especially
Especially
with the
now the new
twist,
twist, yes.
with the twist
The twist.
of maybe he is the killer.
Yes. Which is like I think that's the part that I'm enjoying the most in
Yeah.
watching this series now is like um and the discussion that people are having, I'm noticing on like the Facebook posts for Dexter and stuff too,
Mhm.
because that was one thing that kind of like raised my eyebrow at Patrick Dempsey's character, was people were asking like, where's Captain Matthews? Shouldn't he be here? Like he was
Yeah.
in the start of season 1, and people were saying like, oh yeah, he's like a really close friend of Harry's, like he should
Mhm.
be present, shouldn't he? And then someone made the comment of saying, well, maybe something happens that forces him to have to come down, and it's kinda like,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay."
Mhm.
So then on that point too, the other thing I'm looking forward to hope seeing that they hopefully tell is, when does LaGuerta get the hots for Dexter at what point? Because right now they're like, she's not he's not anywhere
Yeah.
near on her radar. And
Mhm.
B, when does Dokes come in?
Mhm.
And I've also noticed too that Harry is currently sitting at the desk that Dokes usually sits at. So, my
Uh,
other question is, does Dokes come in after Harry dies? Is he
mm,
his replacement? So,
interesting.
yeah.
All very good questions to be asking for
Right?
the
These
show.
these are the things that I'd like to know. I would hope the show does, and more Brian Easter eggs, because again, they've been showing lots of like ice truck
Yes.
killer Easter eggs throughout the series, and
Mhm.
that's a really fun little treat to see.
Kendra picked up on one with the ice truck, and I was like, that's bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
I think in episode 2, there's this guy who asks to sit next to Dexter, and he goes, "Oh no, I'm saving these for my friends." And I was like, he looks a lot like
Weird.
Brian. I was like, unless that's a coincidence, but I was like, that could be Brian. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, he's giving me those
Everybody I've
vibes.
talked to says, yeah, that's exactly what I thought too. So,
All right, cool. We're all on the same page.
yep,
Us Dexter nerds.
right.
It's hard to. There are bits we do enjoy about the show, but again, I think at its core, it's very hard for us to understand why it's here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think,
especially since they've announced that Dexter Resurrection
yes,
is not like it's happening.
yeah, this year.
Yeah, and so like for the fact that they made the choice that they did at the beginning of the episode, for first episode of Original Sin, and then confirming that this new show is going to happen, it's kind of like,
Right.
what's the point? Is this just filler
Yes.
to like wait until the new? And at that point, I would have said they should have just not announced that Resurrection was coming until after this series was done.
Yeah.
Granted, it could have been leaked, maybe, who knows? But like, I feel
Maybe.
like the shock value would have been so much more impactful had they just let this Original Sin play out and then be like, "Hey, Dexter's alive." I would have been like, "Oh snap! Okay, hell yeah, I'm on
Right.
board."
But at the same time, right, with that opening, like I think that's their plan all along.
Yeah.
And so it makes me more doubly upset because then not only is this show feel like a waste of time, is it just the tiny stepping stone to Dexter Resurrection, which to me should be the actual continuation of New Blood, not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And that just kind of makes me upset for everyone who worked on this, for the actors who are clearly, bringing the passion and working hard to bring this world to life.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, that just feels like a colossal waste of everyone's time. Again, we joke there's not more than one season, but like at this point, I feel like, I don't know, to justify this show's existence, it kind of needs to, because
I don't know if I want to manifest another season though.
See, that is also fair. I just I don't know. To me, I could have just skipped it,
Mm-hmm.
We should have just had Dexter New Blood and then had Resurrection this year.
Right? Like, I understand there's a lot of fans who just really wanted more Dexter content right now. And I understand that. But my whole thing is, it's like, having seen this series now, I'm like, if I wanted to watch Dexter, I'll just watch the original series. Like, I don't need more, like some sort of like, half-ass copy of it,
Or read the books.
Yes.
Because they're wild. They are wild.
Yes.
Because we were talking about how a lot of people are, really sad that Deb's dead. And I'm like, I'm sad too, but, my remedy to that is she's well alive in the books. And she even has a son.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, I haven't read the last 2 books, Dexter Final Cut and Dexter is Dead. So, I think my goal for this year is to finish the series finally. So,
nice.
Hopefully we can talk about that later in the year.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, Resurrection just feels like a weird fever dream. I don't know.
Right?
Because they announced Michael C. Hall's obviously in it.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had sent me a post where his son Harrison is coming back.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Batista's coming back.
Who was the third person?
Harry. Like
Harry.
Original Harry. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the other one. And then they just recently made this big announcement that Uma Thurman is joining the cast, which, wild. I was like, what?
Yep.
It was very weird. And it was on a weird subway announcement. They were like, announcement cast on a subway. Uma Thurman. I'm like okay.
Why
but also,
the subway?
Yeah. Is that connected to anything? I also hoped if you're like, maybe I'm wrong, but I guess to me, when you say cast reveal, I just expected more than one person.
Yeah.
But again, we had saw that news earlier, so I don't know if that was necessarily a leak, so they just wanted to jump on.
Maybe.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
I want to have high hopes, you know?
Right?
But my hopes are getting dashed.
I know, right? Like, I'll be looking forward to see Dexter finally being confronted with Batista now that Batista knows that he's the Bay Harbor Butcher. Like, it's
Mhm.
finally all the truth now come out, and Batista knows. So I think that whole interaction's gonna be interesting to see in Resurrection. But after that, it's kind of like, what's next? Is
Yeah.
Dexter gonna are like because how long do we really want to keep Dexter going? I know we as the audience want to see
Mhm.
Dexter like right off into the sunset and just be there in the background, killing all them bad people, getting rid of all the bad
Mhm.
guys. But every story has to come to an end at some point, and as much as most people will disagree with me, I was okay with how it ended for New Blood. I was like, you
Oh,
know
I
what?
agree.
Like exactly like you and everybody else. I'm not happy that Deb died, but for the story they were telling, I think this was the best ending they could have given it. It made sense. Everything kind of came
Right.
full circle. I was happy with it. I
And I
I walked
mean,
away with it like with closure.
right. And I mean, I thought Deb rocked it. I mean, sorry, no, that's not her. Jim Carpenter, I think she rocked it, in New Blood as being kind of like that new voice for Dexter.
Yes.
Because
Yeah,
he
I
didn't
thought that was
have Harry
awesome.
as his code anymore, because, he's lost everything. So having Deb kind of torture him, I was like, this is amazing.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah. My suggestion, read the books. Just do
Yep.
that. Do that.
Yep.
Audiobooks. Don't even have to read it anymore. Just audiobook it.
Right? Cuz if they try to like somehow do it where they make it like just kidding, Deb's not dead. It was all a dream. I'd be like, "No."
I mean, I'm already kind of cheesed that they're bringing Dexter back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm already a little cheesed off. Again, I just want a show with Harrison.
Mhm.
Like, we can still have all these characters, but just we don't need unless Michael C. Hall is like his Harry, maybe or something now, but
Yeah.
I just I don't want Dexter to be alive, which is a wild sentence to say.
Right?
I
And
just don't want him to be.
I will say too, like now that I'm on season 3 of the original series, it's so sad to see the excitement and the nervousness in Rita and Dexter for having like 'cause Rita's obviously just told Dexter that she's pregnant and stuff like that.
Mm,
And so it makes me so sad knowing what's to come with Harrison to see this
yeah.
whole like I'm like, "Oh, like it's just very yeah. It's well done in that sense too because like
Yeah.
you go and you look back at the old episodes and you're like, "Oh man, like you don't know what's going to happen though." Ah.
Right?
So like I feel like I would hope they would do a little bit more to honor Rita too, maybe. Like I know they mentioned her a
Yeah.
little bit in New Blood and stuff like that, but I feel like Rita kind of got the shit end of the stick, definitely, throughout the
Oh, yeah.
series. So I would hope that like they honor her a little bit more, maybe in Resurrection. I don't know. I'd also like to
Yeah.
know what happened to Hannah McKay. I know they again kind of touched on her
Like,
and
she just
stuff.
died of cancer or something?
Yeah, yeah,
She just biffed it. She was like,
yeah.
"Bye.
She just just that was the easy way
Toodles."
to explain why she's not around. And
Maybe
so
that's who
yeah.
Charlie is. Maybe Charlie's like her sister or something. I don't
Maybe, who
fucking
knows,
know.
yeah.
No
No.
point in theorizing on shit I have no right knowing.
Right?
I will try my darndest to be optimistic. Like I said, like for touching on Original Sin, I am very excited about this twist that just happened.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of excited how that's going to kind of move forward, if he will end up on Dexter's table
Mhm.
or, if something else might happen.
Maybe.
I'm super stoked about that. And I will try my darndest to be happy for a resurrection. Again, I know we should maybe just be happy that there are, like, more Dexter projects,
Mhm.
but
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when we were talking about it earlier where you said they kind of like they're kind of too late to the game in all of these new Dexter projects. Like even with the
yeah.
Trinity Killer one, again, very interesting
Yeah.
concept, but at this point, it's so many years since it's happened, the impact's
Mhm.
kind of lost now, right? Like
Absolutely.
I don't really need or have an interest to need to know
Right?
all that stuff. Maybe at the time that it all happened when season 4 was like on TV, it would have been cool to have something in between, seasons and stuff. But yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that was a wild announcement too. Just like,
Yeah.
by the way, origin story on the Trillion Kidder. I don't care. Huh? I think I already pitched this, but again, just because I'm reading the books and like their interpretation of like the Dark Passenger is just so different from what we see on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I would love if they like did an animated, maybe an adaptation of the books,
Oh yeah.
or again, maybe something animated to do with the Dark Passenger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think just especially because how the show portrays it, I think it'd be hard to swing, but maybe, yeah, just doing an animated books on the Dexter books would be really cool.
Well, in season 2, there was like a couple episodes where when the Bay Harbor Butcher, like that whole thing was happening, and
Oh
there
yeah.
was the people who were like really on board with it. So there was one guy who like created a comic book series
Mhm.
called The Dark Defender, and then there was like that
Yeah.
little flashback episode where, or no, it was a dream I think Dexter was having,
Yeah.
where he like was in the big like arrow cloak kind of thing, and he was like a superhero saving himself and saving his mom, and that'd be kind of an interesting like to do like a comic book animated sort of thing and
Mhm.
have it be like called The Dark Defender, but it's on, you know, focusing on this dark passenger entity sort of thing.
Yeah. But yeah, that was wild. Fucking Trinity Killer. Again, very iconic for sure, but yeah, they
Oh yeah.
missed the boat.
Yes, I agree.
Like, who's gonna play him?
Yeah,
You
well, it'll
know,
have to be
like,
a young person, right? Because it's supposed to be his
no,
origins or something
they'll
like that, I
just
guess.
de-age the original actor. It's fine, and it'll look really bad, and we all have to sit there and be like,
Oh. It'll they'll just get Christian Slater to play him.
he's perfect.
Yeah.
Although I do like, yeah, I like that idea of like like maybe paying more tribute to Rita. Because I think even like
I'd
as
like
the
that.
show as a whole, like if you talk to people about Dexter, there's either people who hung on to the end, or after season 4 they were like, I
They did.
can't,
Yeah.
you know, and maybe maybe in one sense that's not good, but like on another sense, like that is how impactful that's like, that scene, that kill was.
Mhm.
Like, you gotta give it to the writers, like that was like amazing,
It was a shock, yeah.
the fact that, and again, I don't blame people who dipped at that point. I'm like,
Mhm.
absolutely. But like just the like it to me that's a big culture, maybe not a cultural significance, but like a big part of that show.
Oh yeah.
So again, and I mean even having Deb die, so like having these characters quote unquote come back to life is like slightly disrespectful.
Right? Yeah.
And again, if you hated the fact that Rita got murdered, she's still well alive in the books. Everybody's still alive and well. Actually, Brian is still alive in the books.
Really?
He's just chilling. He just comes
Wow.
over for Sunday dinners all the
What?
time. And Rita's like, he's the best. And Dexter's just like, what the fuck? He is so
Oh my god.
baffled.
See, maybe they should have, with Original Sin, they should have like done this, where it was like an alternate universe that's actually based off the books of like What If. It's kind of like that Marvel What If series, but it's like
Yeah.
Dexter What If.
Dexter What If. Yeah, it's wild to read. So yeah, there's
Wow.
I think really the only character that's dead who was still, well, I mean, Huerta eventually does die in Dexter, but she died first book. So it's wild to think that she, was even on the show for as long as she was.
Yeah.
And I mean, Dokes is basically a robot at this point. So again, such a wild difference. But he's still alive. He's basically like a machine man.
He's like a cyborg.
Kinda, that's how they describe him.
Wow.
He like lost most of his legs and one of his arms, so one is like a hook arm.
Oh my god.
And yeah, he has like peg legs. And the killer who did this to him like slashed his like cord, like his voice box, so like he can't speak, so he has like a little machine that he just smashes.
Oh my
And
god.
he just glares at Dexter all the time. And it's funny to read when he just goes, and Dexter just kind of goes, very good.
We wouldn't get the iconic surprise, motherfucker.
I know. Like, what a different world the books
Right?
are. What a different world.
Wow.
But yeah, I think that'll do it for our Dexter-filled episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we will obviously be paying. We will be finishing Original Sin as much as it begrudges us. Begrudge?
That sounds about right.
As much as it really hurts us, we will finish it. And obviously, if Resurrection, like I think they said filming is starting this year. I don't know
I
if
think
it'll
so.
actually be out this year, but
Probably
obviously,
not.
once it is, we will obviously be watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I said, I will be trying to finish the last 2 books this year, so then we can have an entire Dexter retrospect again.
Hell yeah. And I think we
Whew.
need to end it off by saying sorry to the guy who's playing young Dexter, but no one can do that t-shirt scene in the title sequence
I
as well as
know.
Michael C. Hall. He tried, but
We totally forgot to mention that weird sound effect in the opening scene, the gloop.
yeah.
That was
That
also
and
wild.
yeah, and there was like the weird like tugging with like the telephone cord. It was like it just there were some weird cheesy sound effects that they were trying to like add into the like cuz they were trying to add like extra bits into that whole sequence of Dexter because of how iconic it was. And while I applaud the attempt, some of it was a little cringy.
It was wild. I was like,
Yeah.
woof.
Mm-hmm.
Blech.
Yeah.
But yes, let us know in the comments down below. Are you
Yeah.
enjoying Original Sin, or are you in the same camp as us? Or you're like, absolutely not?
Yeah.
Let us know down there.
That's the other thing too, because I know people who really, really are enjoying Original Sin. So we're not like completely like shitting on it, being like it's the worst show in the world. It's just this is like our thoughts on it, right?
Mhm.
You know, with the storytelling and all that kind of stuff. So to the people out there who really love the show, we'd also love to hear from you too, because we want to know all different like perspectives of it.
Please let us know in the lovely comments down below. Consider leaving this video a little like see, and consider subscribing to 2 pretty cool gals in my opinion. And like we said, we'll never stop talking about Dexter. But yeah, until then, watch all the content and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Monkey.
Monkey.
Slay!